What is up, guys? SEC football this weekend. I thought I'd try something new and break down all the SEC games from a Vegas perspective and go with a best bet and a pick on each game down the road. So we got 7 SEC games kicking off at 12 noon Eastern, also going all the way till 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So, Jay, welcome in, guys. If you're watching on Twitter, at Drew Martin Bets, or on YouTube, it all works, man. Feel free to chime in. Also, let me know if there's any issues. I'm obviously going from outside here, so a little bit unsure on the internet connection. But let's kick it off. 12 noon Eastern on ESPN. I'm just going to go order of kickoff down the list here, give my opinion, and what I just bet personally, because I just bet them all, kind of degenerate style, but also with the best bet here. So we got the number 5 ranked Florida Gators at the Ole Miss Rebels. We got 57 being the total with UF, the Gators, -2 touchdowns on the road, -14 points right now is what I'm seeing. Of course, Dan Mullen in his 3rd year with Kyle Trask at the quarterback position. Florida overall is a team I'm actually looking to be betting on this season. The only problem is, and it shows in the betting markets, it seems like everybody else is in tune to that. You know, when Trask took over as the quarterback, we saw an uptick in the offense, and sure enough, they were a good bet down the road, or down the line last year in college football. But it's just the market's pricing them so heavy this year, and they lost a lot on the defensive line. That kind of scares me. However, they are an 11-2 team last year with their only losses at LSU and Georgia. Pretty impressive resume there. But going up against Ole Miss here, got to remember, these are still SEC recruits, SEC athletes. Lane Kiffin comes in, and Ole Miss has 2 good quarterbacks here, Plumlee and Corral. And I actually think that that's kind of a hidden advantage. Not so much hidden, but something a lot of people aren't talking about here. It's a new system with 2 quarterbacks that have experience in the SEC and bring 2 different dynamics to the table. I think it actually is difficult on the Florida defense preparing for this. So I think they're going to see a lot that they really haven't seen on film here. Plus the fact Ole Miss brings back a 70-ish returning Letterman. That's a lot of experience here. I think Ole Miss +14 is worth a look here. I bet it personally. And yeah, that's the first play on the board. Ole Miss +2 touchdowns against Florida, 12 noon kickoff. We also got another 12 noon kickoff here. Evan, welcome in, buddy. We on SEC Network, it's Kentucky at Auburn, 8th ranked Auburn, 22 ranked Kentucky. So top 25 matchup here. Auburn laying 7 in the hook, 50 being the total. Mark Stoops, 8th year. Gus Malzahn's 8th year. So a battle of the 2nd most tenured head coaches in the SEC. You know, being 8 years at any one job in the SEC is a lot. 2 guys that have made a whole lot more money than I have. Love to switch bank accounts with them, but they're going to square off here in Jordan-Hare. And I like the dog here. Kentucky +7.5. You know, how many SEC teams could win 8 games with a wide receiver playing quarterback? Well, Kentucky was one of them last year. They've recruited very well the last couple years under Mark Stoops. And Auburn has to return a ton on the defensive line, literally almost a ton in their defensive tackles. And the first 40-something picks, both defensive tackles gone to the NFL. And if you watched Auburn last year, you know, they hung with LSU within 3 points. And a big reason why was because of that defensive push up front right there on the center. They lose both of those guys. Really have question marks about Auburn this season. I know it's a sophomore quarterback after his first off season is sort of a bet on for me, but I want to see it work here. And then I'll kind of turn the tides on how I'm looking to bet Auburn. But right out the gate, I actually just bet Kentucky +7.5. I think that they stay within a touchdown of Auburn on the road. We got 3:30 Eastern kick here on CBS, the CBS game of the week. Mississippi State at LSU. 6th ranked LSU, of course, lost a ton in just production overall. I mean, you could say they lost more than almost in terms of production any college football team, at least of recent memory. 14 NFL draft picks. They also lost both coordinators, including their starting quarterback on the first pick of the draft. Just huge question marks here. And now LSU is being asked to lay 17 points. I guess, granted, they are at home, but no fans. I think that plays a factor. It's also a day game in LSU, so home field advantage, not the normal home field advantage for LSU. Mississippi State, obviously Mike Leach coming in. The press conferences are going to be great in the SEC West here. Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach, can't wait for the Egg Bowl. He also has KJ Costello as his quarterback. KJ Costello was the starting quarterback for Stanford. Interestingly enough, they played against each other, obviously Stanford and Washington State, so he's seen it from the sidelines. And he, by all accounts, he's a smart guy, and Mike Leach's system is fairly easy to learn. So I think it actually sets up pretty well out the gate for Mississippi State to have offensive success. Wide receivers, they really upgraded here. They got a Alabama transfer, a junior college transfer, one of the top wide receivers here. So I would look for Mississippi State to kind of have some offensive production here. And granted, they were an SEC bowl team last year. Now they're catching 17 against an LSU team that lost a lot of production. I like Mississippi State plus 17. It's kind of a theme here, guys. I just think that the market, the odds makers, the betting public in general is laying too much with a lot of these SEC teams and forgetting who they're actually going up against. So like a lot of the dogs on the slate, obviously the first three games we're talking about, Mississippi State plus 17, Kentucky plus 7.5, Ole Miss plus 14 on all of them out the gate. So next game up, 4 p.m. Eastern on SEC Network, Georgia versus Arkansas. We got Georgia minus 28, 52.5 being the total here. And this is an interesting one, guys. Kirby Smart versus Sam Pittman. The reason I bring that up is Sam Pittman was the offensive line coach for, I believe, the last 4 years at the University of Georgia. And whenever you take like a position coach and then he makes the jump to head coach, yes, it's a big jump. There's question marks there, but there's no real hard feelings like, oh, you left me for a better job. No, I mean, obviously the guy's doing what's better for him. And Kirby Smart, even to back this up, because I was kind of looking for quotes here, this is not a quote you want to find when you're looking to lay 4 touchdowns on the road. Kirby Smart talking about Arkansas game. I'm looking forward, and I'm quoting here, looking forward to seeing my good old friend Sam Pittman. That doesn't exactly sound like you got, Arkansas in the ground here and you're going to punch in another touchdown or two in the fourth quarter. So laying 28, I'm not too interested in, especially because Arkansas, look at their offensive coordinator, Kendall Briles. I like him at offensive coordinator. Felipe Franks, the old Florida quarterback, he's now taking snaps for Arkansas. I could actually see him having a decent improvement here. I'm not saying Arkansas is going to be, a 500 team or anything like that, but getting 4 touchdowns at home, I bet Arkansas plus 28. We got 2 friends as head coaches. I don't think he's going to, embarrass him too much in his first head coaching stint here, especially being at home. So I like Arkansas plus 28. And that's kind of a hold your nose special, just watch that clock sink down and who knows, a 40 to 17 type game. And we cashed the bet there with the Arkansas Razorbacks. So 4 underdogs to start here, guys. Next game up, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. First shout out to you. Evan, welcome in, bud. Monka 28. Yeah, let's go, buddy. Davy Jones, welcome in, buddy. I actually am in South Florida, if you can't tell because of the palm trees, but I got off the plane, felt the humidity. SEC did a lot of work on the plane over. So I decided I'd bet them all and give them out here on Twitter and YouTube. So welcome in, guys. Appreciate you joining me. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Next game up here, Alabama minus 28 at Missouri, 56 being the total here. This is one I couldn't go with the underdog. One, Missouri, I just feel like has too many question marks for an SEC team. I think they kind of have depth issues. So down the road, I'm going to kind of look to fade Missouri. And, big bad Alabama, they're obviously going to have a ton of athletes here. They also return their offensive coordinator. That's like a first in multiple years here for Alabama. Usually the coordinators under Nick Saban, you have a good year and you get a head coaching job. Well, Steve Sarkisian, Sark, he does return as the offensive coordinator and returning their quarterback, Mac Jones. He got a lot of reps last year. And outside of, 2 bad throws against Auburn, he had a great season, really. His numbers were really good. Talking about Missouri here, Eli Drinkowitz, the head coach, he's a guy that used to coach under Gus Malzahn, kind of, making his way up here. And it's only his second overall year as a head coach. His first year as a head coach was at App State. So, 1 year head coach and then making the jump all the way to being an SEC head coach. I got real question marks there. He might be in a little bit over his head. They also lost a bunch. They do bring in Sean Robinson as their quarterback. Like that factor. He was a quarterback for TCU, kind of a dual threat guy. I could see him having some success. They just have less than 40 returning lettermen. So huge question marks there, depth issues. That's not what you really want going up against Alabama. At the same time, not looking to lay 4 touchdowns on the road with Alabama. So this total at 56 looks sunny, about 12 miles per hour wind projected in Columbia, Missouri. I bet the over of 56, Alabama versus Missouri in the 7 p.m. game on ESPN. Next game up, we got one on SEC Network here. Tennessee versus South Carolina, 43.5 being the total. Tennessee minus 3.5 on the road. Jeremy Pruitt's third year as the head coach for Tennessee. Guarantano returns as the quarterback. 6-game win streak. So a lot pointing towards Tennessee. And if you haven't been watching too much college football, it seems like everybody loves Tennessee this year. They're the 16th ranked team in the country. Going up against South Carolina, Will Muschamp. A lot of people down on Will Muschamp. How does he still have his job? I mean, in my opinion, he's kind of the best defensive coordinator in the country. The only problem is he's playing the role of head coach, and he hasn't done very well at that. But he does bring in offensive coordinator Mike Bobo from Colorado State, and Mike Bobo brings over his starting quarterback at Colorado State, Colin Hill, who, yes, is injury prone, has, I believe, suffered 3 ACL injuries, but in the first game of the season, he should be healthy here. They got a really good defensive line at South Carolina, obviously going to be coached up on the defensive side under Muschamp. Seems like everybody, percentage of tickets written, pretty much everybody I've heard likes Tennessee. I'm actually going to be a contrarian bettor here and go South Carolina +3 in the hook at home, like the home dog in that one with the Gamecocks to cover the 3.5, maybe even win outright. But getting 3.5 points here with a total of 43.5, that's a low total here. So catching points is always something I like in that scenario. So I'll go South Carolina +3.5. Got one more game here, guys. Vandy versus Texas A&M as we close it out. Yeah, Davey, I think we're on the wrong side there, buddy. You're on Tennessee. I'm on USC, the Gamecocks here. So we got SEC Network Plus. This is kind of a degenerate style here in the SEC. Not 100% sure how to watch this one, but it's 7:30 Eastern start here. Vanderbilt versus 10th ranked Texas A&M. A&M laying 30.5 points. You don't see many SEC teams in conference laying 30. We get it here. 46.5 being the total. Derek Mason is obviously on the hot seat here, guys. He does bring in a new offensive coordinator from Louisiana Tech. The only problem is they're planning on starting a true freshman at quarterback. They got DC Ted Roof coming in. Derek Mason, good defensive coach as well. So I think defensively, Vanderbilt will actually be a little bit underrated, show some life here. It's just offensively, they lost it. They lost a lot. They have offensive line issues, guys opting out. So I worry about Vanderbilt putting up points. That leads me kind of to the under here. 46.5 is still out there. Going up against Texas A&M, which, yes, it's the same system with a senior quarterback in Kellen Mond. A lot of people pointing towards Texas A&M being pretty good this year. I could see it as well. They're returning, 70-ish lettermen overall, so they're going to have a lot of experience. The only problem I look at here that a lot of people aren't talking about, they only average 69 plays per game. That's not very fast tempo and just over 5 yards per play. So their offense actually wasn't overall that good, especially against some of the better defenses last year. I think Vanderbilt, in SEC terms isn't a good defense, but against, the rest of college football, I think they're pretty decent here. So I think Vandy defense can at least put up a fight, and Vandy offensively isn't going to be able to put up many points. So we see 46.5 as the total. I like the under and Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. So that's a 7-game rundown here for the SEC games. Something I'm thinking about doing each and every week. Let me know if you're liking it on YouTube in the comments, in the chat box. Also, guys on Twitter, thanks for joining in as well. Let me know if you're liking the content as well. I'll do a little recap here, guys. If you're looking to go degenerate style, first, I'll give the best bet. Alabama versus Missouri over 56 is the best bet. That's one that I went pretty heavy on this time. I mean, Drinkowitz is going to, offensive guy. I think Missouri, with their new quarterback, Sean Robinson, will be able to put up a couple touchdowns here. And then Alabama, Mac Jones, Steve Sarkisian, looking to put it up. And we've also seen Nick Saban in recent memory kind of go a little bit more pedal to the metal here down the stretch. So couldn't get there to lay the 4 touchdowns just because I think Missouri might be able to get in the back door at home. But I do like the over of 56. It looks like pretty good weather there in Columbia. So that's the best bet, guys. That's the one I went the heaviest on. But do a little recap here, degenerate style. Ole Miss plus 14 in the 12 noon kickoff. Also Kentucky plus 7.5. Got Mississippi State in the CBS game plus 17. Arkansas plus 28 with Sam Pittman looking to stay within 4 touchdowns of his old boss and good friend Kirby Smart. We got Missouri, Alabama over 56 for the best bet. South Carolina, the Gamecocks, the home dog here, catching 3.5, a little bit under the radar in my opinion. South Carolina plus 3.5. And then Vanderbilt, Texas A&M under 46.5 to end it, guys. Appreciate you joining me. Please smash the like button if you like the content. Huge shout out to Davey Jones joining us. Deadhead Money. Yeah, thanks for joining me as well, guys. Best of luck if you're tailing out there. And degenerate-wise, hopefully we can at least go 4-3 and we can cash this Alabama, Missouri over for the best bet. So, guys, best of luck, guys. Be safe this weekend, and let's cash these tickets.